Hello and welcome back to the Gold Advantage. MSI is here, but it is not the main stage. We're jumping in the playing groups where 8 teams are going to battle out for 3 spots. It's a bit confusing, but essentially, if you win your next couple of matches, you're in those are 2 teams, and then the losers all fight it out for one final spot. I'm your host, Nikita. With me, Big Money Blizz. How you doing, man?
How's it going? So pumped to be back. It feels like we've been on a bit of a hiatus.
Yep.
But man, the World Championship moments, right? MSI, Worlds, these are the times that we finally get to see all the best teams come together, playing some of the best league. I'm obviously extremely excited. So yeah, good to see you. How are you?
Good. Super excited as well. First international tournament. I think it's come off the back of some pretty exciting playoffs. We've had some great runs in North America. We've had some fun games in Europe. The LPL was great as well, an upset in the LCK. So overall, I think also leagues are kind of coming in at a level that I feel fairly confident in. There are times where we come to an international event and NA or EU are noticeably weaker. I think this time I'm like, okay, you know what, like, we've got a bit of bite, so be interesting to see. I think that this is going to be a quick and scrappy episode. We're going to have a lot more episodes coming out and shorts throughout MSI. Make sure you subscribe to get those. Yep. Like this video if you like it. Helps us a lot, but make sure you subscribe because we'll be updating regularly as we're basically having daily matches over the next 3 weeks, so we won't be doing long form content. Yep. It's a lot, so we're going to try to churn out a lot of quick, easy, digestible content. I think the thing I want to talk about is generally the outrights and the way when we're looking at them, JDG is the favorite at 2.86 with T1 and Gen.G behind. T1's a 3.77, Gen.G's a 4.28, and then Bilibili's an 8.1. So there's a massive jump between the top 3 and everyone else. Makes a lot of sense.
Top 4.
I think considering... Well, I mean, yeah, there's another massive jump. Well, I was saying actually just between top 3 because Gen.G's a 4.2, Bilibili's double that, and then you have to essentially double that again to get to G2 at 19.7.
Yep.
I think this is reflecting really, JDG didn't seem to have any issues in their playoff run. It was a very dominant showing from them, whereas T1 and Gen.G, there was a back and forth. T1 beat them first, lost in the finals. I think it was closer there. I do have a bit of umbrage with this in just that I think that the LCK overall is stronger this split than the LPL has been. By a tiny amount, but I do think that I would probably put T1 Gen.G slightly above JDG.
Okay.
But, you know, I think I'm splitting hairs here. It's really, these are the 3 that I think are very far and above the favorites.
Look, I think it's gonna be hard to argue with your position on that. However, this is routinely where we see the LCK coming in, especially at MSI, as the better teams. We see them feeling like, you know, like here we are again. T1 last year came in undefeated, just absolutely ready to steamroll. We had Scoot on this podcast saying that, you know, T1 is going to go undefeated all the way through MSI as well. And ultimately, China ended up winning. And so I feel very nervous about, you know, I think that the odds have it right. I know Billy is going to get dinged a little bit because they're in the play-in. And so maybe there's some, like, you know, question. Like, I think there's great value on them at 8.17. We've seen China teams coming out of the play-ins and winning major world championships. And so this feels like a good place.
We're now shifting back to an LCK era. The last 3-4 years, I would say, have absolutely been LPL dominated overall, I think is the general consensus and agreement. But the showing from the LCK at Worlds last year and coming in this year, I think the LCK is looking like the region to beat as opposed to the LPL. JDG are always going to be a threat. Bilibili are that LPL team that looked terrible and somehow just kept scrapping and winning.
There's a couple of those teams in this MSI. Mad Lions.
Big time. Can you imagine that's like they're like 2 Nexus hits away from not even making playoffs, and then they win the whole thing. Everything's changed. Insane.
They're like the Miami Heat. They just know how to play when it comes to playoffs.
Oh, don't stand at my heat. I'm so happy about that. That was just Jimmy, Himothy. He is him. Look, I think Hail Marys.
Yeah.
If we're obviously you have the top 3 there, like you said, Bilibili at 8.1. I think it's great odds.
Just the
G2 at a
value.
19.7, I actually do really like that. G2 typically plays very well internationally. Their style works really well internationally. I think they've been very focused on MSI, notwithstanding their kind of performance in recent LEC.
I know you're gonna call me a hater. I know you're
Yeah,
gonna
go
call
for
me
it.
a hater.
You
But
don't like it?
they haven't been playing well. Like I know we
Sure.
want to give them all the excuses in the world, but they just haven't been the team that they were.
But do you not believe that they can bring it back?
I don't know. I don't
Okay.
know in this tournament. Like, can they bring it back during the summer split?
Always done well internationally, though. That's the thing. They won MSI a few years ago. In 2019, they won MSI. Now, it's a long time ago, but I'm
Correct.
talking about as an org performing at Worlds, they have always performed at these international events. And that's the thing, is their style has always worked so well internationally.
But it's not for
It's
it's
a
not
Hail
for like a
Mary.
final four. It's not for a final four. 19 is 7.73 is to win it all. And this doesn't
Yeah.
feel like the year. Like, I remember we sat here months back
Ooh.
when G2 first
Yeah.
started, and we were like, this is a team that could actually challenge MSI and challenge Worlds the way they were playing.
Yeah.
Since then, they just have not played that well or that way. And so
Sure.
19.73
Okay.
feels right. It does.
All right. Well, yeah, but I'm okay with that. I feel like 19, I would put money on them winning it all at 19.
One in 20 times. Yeah, 1 in 20 times are they going to win it.
It's a Hail Mary. I'm okay with that. I think they'll make top 4. And from there, a couple of good games, you know.
I don't think they're making top 4.
I would love to have that bet. Top 4
I wish
bet.
I would love to have that bet too.
Yeah.
I would.
Not gonna happen.
Do you want to put $10 straight up, me and you? Top 4, yes, $10. Top 4, no, me $10.
Yeah.
Deal.
All right. Done.
That's the bet.
1-to-1 odds. Jesus,
1.
what's this? Old BMB is back.
That feels fair. You got
Okay.
19 to win it
All right.
all. Divided by 4 is, it feels
Yeah.
right.
Okay. All right. Look, I'm okay with that. I'll take that one. I am not as bullish on Cloud9. I just think they come from a weaker region.
Yeah.
I think, when we talk about not performing well, I'll give G2 a lot of excuses just because of historically, internationally, they've done well.
Yep.
They looked incredibly strong in spring. Cloud9 tidied it up, but I can't forget some of the way they sometimes played, and it just made me very concerned. So, I even though that's a 24.22, I don't think
Well,
that's good.
what
I
I will
also don't know
say-
if I agree with them saying they're better than Mad.
Well, I also don't know if I agree with them saying they're better than Golden Guardians, the way the Golden Guardians closed out. Golden Guardians are 52.33.
I mean, they 3-0'd them.
But it was like...
I think so. They kind of are better, just I feel like they had that head-to-head matchup, and one side came out significantly ahead. but
Golden
yeah,
Guardian... No. To your point earlier about
Yeah.
Cloud9
Are
being
they
better than Mad
double?
Lions,
yeah.
they are better than Mad Lions. This Mad
Yeah.
Lions team is fraudulent.
I mean, I don't know if they are anymore.
They should not be here. Yeah, but
you love them though.
I love them.
How are you saying this?
You know what it is? I'm just bitter. I'm absolutely bitter. BDS up
didn't make
2
it.
fucking
I know.
0. I'm like,
Yeah. That game glitch where they turned it back even against G2, that was... There's a lot of stuff that happened that I think worked in Madline's favor. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that happened that I think worked in Madline's favor. I will say this, though. If I'm willing to throw a little bit at G2 going at 19.73, I guess in theory I should, if I'm maintaining consistent logic. Mad Lions, who've just come off an incredible run, are playing really well, have won, beaten, so on. In theory, 35.72. No. All right, well then that wraps that up. I don't think there's anything else there.
and again, probably because I'm bitter, but no.
Yeah. No.
Can you imagine how much fun we'd be having sitting here talking about
If it was
BDS,
BDS.
at MSI?
So exciting.
Fuck Mad
Even
Lions.
Vitality. Even if it was Vitality, I'd be really excited because I'd be like, oh, look at this. We're going to get Bo, Photon, all of this.
Playing against their former teams.
There we go. I'm going to run through this pretty quickly because I think some
do it.
of these matches are very lopsided here. We have
Yeah.
4 games. First one is PSG Detonation Focus Me. Odds are PSG 1.45, DFM at 2.6. Honestly, give you a cliff notes on this. DFM have done well in their region, but It's a weak region. It's new to
Yeah.
international play. PSG are a mainstay at international events. They
Agreed.
always turn up. They always win their region. But not only have they won their region, they have dominated their region this year in a way that they haven't previously. So this is a stronger than ever PSG team. I want to take the minus 1.5 at 2.37. 35. 2.35 is what I have. Minus 1.5. I think it's just going to be a 2-0 for them. I think they just have more experience. I think they're playing better. They come from a better region, and they dominated that region.
Yeah, look, I always like putting a taste on DFM when it's
Yep.
in Worlds and they're in the group stage and they're playing all these, outrageous people and they have massive odds. This is not a team that we have continuously seen perform. PSG talent, like there's like tier A or tier S, tier A, and then like B. Feels like Detonation Focus me is a B. PSG is an A. And I put PSG kind of more in line with the NA teams than with the lower league teams.
Yeah. Yep. I think I would agree with that one very much so. So they're knocking on the door of like the lower major regions there.
Yep.
So with you on that one. Next one is G2 versus Loud. I have G2 at 1.06 and Loud is at a 7. There's nothing of value here for me. The only thing I guess I would say is like you could take the G2 at minus 1.5, but even that isn't that good for me.
I have 1.47, like decent.
Yeah, same.
But
I think, to be honest, I'd actually probably throw a tiny amount on the 7 times odds and just hope for the upset. If you really think
that's not. Look, I'm down on G2. I'm not that down.
Yeah,
on G2.
that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
You're not that down. Yeah.
No.
Okay. Next match is even more lopsided. Is Bilibili versus Rainbow 7. What are the odds here? They are 22 odds on Movie Star Riders and 1.009 on Bilibili. Bilibili are gonna smash.
That's a 1% return.
And this is actually, we have to talk about a team that I think is guaranteed to make the group stage, the main event. It is going to be BLG. I'm pretty confident that G2 are going to be the next team that follow that up. But, when you're looking, Bilibili will fight the winner of GAM Esports and Golden Guardians. If they win that, they go through. I think they're going to win that. G2 face off against PSG Talon next. That's where potentially there's an upset. We'll talk about it later. We need to see how the matches go. We need to see how the meta goes. But that is where I'm just saying that, like, okay, maybe G2 doesn't make it. Maybe PSG doesn't make it because of the way the bracket does. But then the thing is that whoever doesn't make it from there drops into the lower bracket and they're still fighting for one more spot. So
Billy and G2 will decisively win their groups.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Golden Guardians, GAM Esports.
This is a fun one.
1.58 on Golden Guardians,
Yeah.
2.2 on GAM. I agree. So who do you have? Because I actually think I'm GAM.
I think we're going the same direction. I really like
Yeah.
GAM here. I think this is a great spot for them. This is the first time that you're going to see a number of these players from Golden Guardians in this kind of a spot. GAM, again, is a team that's kind of had consistent from an organizational perspective. I know not all the players are the same.
Yep.
But they have that international exposure. Look, I think Golden Guardians are just happy to be here. And I absolutely GAM at a 2.21. I mean, I don't like to fade NA this much, but at the same time, it's been a down year for NA as well.
It has been. It really hasn't. I think there's a lot of hope for it. I think the thing I'll back stylistically, I think this is a tricky matchup actually for both teams. I was digging into it. So GAM has done well in their region, has historically had success, but they haven't dominated as much this year, let's say, compared to PSG.
Sure.
Very much so. They have been winning their games through the late game. Good. They use Levi to kind of control the early to mid game, and they win the late game. So if you are matching up against them and they go through to the late game, they will win. However, Golden Guardians, when you're looking at it, they actually had the best early game rating during the NA playoffs. And they had the third best mid to late game rating, not the best. So it was it was a little bit negative based on Oracle's Elixir. So there is something here, depending on how the meta goes and depending on how drafts go. If they are very early game focused, I would potentially, I think I would put money on Golden Guardians. If they are late game focused, I actually think I'd put it to GAM. Gigabyte Marines. So that is the way I do it. I'm looking more on a map-to-map basis here. If I have to pick one, I think I take GAM over Golden Guardians. Just NA's never done the best at Worlds or international events and so on. So there's that. Maybe we're overlooking them. But even if we are overlooking them, the odds aren't great on Golden Guardians. So that's the other reason why I'm not really considering them. If this was even odds, 1.8 each, I think the conversation would be slightly different. But yeah, look, I think that wraps it up from my end. I don't know if you have much to throw in.
Very, very sound analysis. Much appreciated. You know, I think there's also like, I kind of lean one of two ways on this, and I would be happy to hear what your perspective is. But like, GAM went 14-0 during the spring. They haven't lost.
Yeah.
And then they go into the playoffs, and they again go 3-0. So they're really 17-0. Now, they're beating their teams 3-1, 3-2, 3-1. So like, they're kind of close.
Yeah.
They're not just like blowouts.
Blowing them up, yeah.
Right. So I guess my question is, like, is the competition good? Is the competition bad? Like, do we think GAM, I mean, you know, to Golden Guardians' credit, like, they're still having to play, you know, good teams, good players, and being battle-tested, and having actually seen some losses. So what happens when the chips are down? I like that GAM didn't just 3-0 steamroll everybody. But it does lean me also to a over 2.5 on this match, which is 2.01. So if you want to,
I love that.
If you kind of just want to like say hands off, like I'm not going to worry about picking one team or the other. I feel like the over 2.5 at that good of odds it is a nice little bet for me.
Love it. I love that so much. That's actually just like a great little bet to end this on. I think the only way we can make this better is if you like and subscribed. And that would make us very happy.
Very happy.
I'd also love it if you joined our Discord. Link is down below. We're going to be watching, chatting about all sorts of things league related. Obviously, it's a good group, and there's a bunch of people who do a lot of like modeling down there. So they're always happy to talk. So come join us there. Otherwise, short and sweet, as I promised you, I think that wraps it up. We will be back in a couple of days for the next batch of matches that are going to be decided after the winners and losers of these ones. Yep. Like I said, we're going to try and do short and faster upload times over the course of MSI to deal with the daily matches that we're getting there. Thanks for tuning in, everyone, and we'll see you in a few days. Bye.
Toodaloo.